Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Let me just see. I think we're okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the premiere of The Neon Shadow. I am so over the moon that you're all with us tonight to share in that. Oh, here comes the text. Yay. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it was just such a joy to have some like an event tonight to share with you all. I've been really craving that sort of kind of theatre event for the last few months. So to be able to do that tonight with you guys is just amazing. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Feel free to chuck some questions in the chat, guys. I'm literally here. I've just popped the Prosecco. Thank you. Hi, Ellie. Ellie from Kneehigh is just telling me what to do. Let me know if you can't hear me or anything like that. I've never done a YouTube live. What a treat. Sophie, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Holly. Thank you, Sarah. Oh, Joni, thank you so much. How long from first idea to final edit? Oh, thank you so much. Right, I'll answer some of these questions, but cheers, everyone. Thank you for coming to the premiere of our film. How amazing. I'm a bit emotional, so I'll probably have a cry. Oh, thank you, Jamie. That's so kind. So I'm going to get to these questions, but thank you for joining me, everyone. How long from first idea to final edit? I've been working on this story for about 4 years. It's actually a stage adaptation and is meant to be seen on stage as a full-length piece. And it's very different to what we've ended up making. But when lockdown hit, our tour got cancelled and we weren't able to present it on stage. So this idea of kind of condensing it right down, performing in it myself, all of those ideas came about in about April. We got our funding in June, I think, and we filmed at the end of July. So it was a really quick turnaround. So we filmed and to edit and to now up to opening, it's been like showing it's been a month or so. So yeah, really quick, but we had the most amazing team, which I'll tell you about in a minute. How did you get involved with Kneehigh? I worked with Kneehigh as a performer first. I was in Tristan and Isolde quite a few years ago, and again 3 years ago. And then luckily through their brilliance, they kind of took me under their wing and have kind of nourished me as more of a creative. And I've worked with them for quite a long time now. Thank you so much for these lovely comments. Awesome production, very impressive. Oh, thank you. Can you tell us about the original story? Yeah, of course. Thank you, Matthew. So the original story, Hans wrote in a time of complete heartbreak because he had just broken up, well, his relationship that he was trying to form with a male aristocrat obviously was the subject of suspicion and was dampened, and they were trying to make it work. And I think Hans was so desperately in love with this man, and their relationship shattered. And so he wrote this story in a time of complete heartbreak, and he was angry at the world. From what I've read, he was really angry that he wasn't living in a society where he could love the man who he wanted to love. So he wrote this story about being brave and failing to be brave. And the original story, the man falls in love with a woman who lives opposite him, and he rips off his shadow and sends his shadow to go and do all the things that he's not brave enough to do, including fall in love. So it's an amazing story, and it's full of pain and angst, but the adaptation for stage that we've been working on for the last 4 years kind of takes it and transplants it into this modern world that we're living in, and says, looks at, sorry, lots of things going on, trying to concentrate, looks at what it means to love now and what it means to love through technology and that lack of touch. So when lockdown hits, it felt really kind of prevalent in a new way. The stage show is 2 hours long. It's very different. It has lots more joy in it. When you condense this story down, it becomes quite intense. So what you saw was kind of 20 minutes of the heart of the story. But where did you take artistically as an adaptation? Oh, there you go. Hopefully that's answered that a little bit, but I'll come back to it in a minute. Stunning. Oh, thank you. What was the inspiration? Yeah, so this Hans Christian Andersen story, but I'd never made a film before, and I'd never thought about making film. And I grew up watching amazing dance for film, physical theatre for film, Deviate, Matthew Bourne, Anna Teresa de Keersmacher. And I my world is now more theatrical, and I wanted to see whether we could make a silent movie and go back to movement and see if the movement could tell the tale, but with a little bit more of kind of a narrative through line. I was also super inspired by, I felt like there was a lot of correlations with when we were making the film. I was watching I May Destroy You by Michaela Cole, and there's lots of correlations between like the obsession with technology, and her work is just so exciting, and it really inspired me when we were making the film. What was added because of lockdown. So yeah, the film would never have happened if it hadn't been for lockdown. We filmed it in my mum's garage, which is like 10 feet over there. And we absolutely just did everything we could to make it happen. And thank you to Kneehigh and all of our co-producers, New Adventures, Hall for Cornwall, Feast, Pavilion Dance Southwest. There's a lot of them, they're brilliant. They came back to us and made it happen, and I'm so grateful. I designed the set with my partner Edwin, who was in the film and was incredible in it. And there was only a director of photography, John Crooks, and a production assistant, Millie, who was with us filming. So it was really small and we worked really hard. So yeah, if it wasn't for lockdown, it wouldn't have been this at all. Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you. And there's a group with us watching tonight called the Creation Club, who I worked with throughout the formation of the film, a group of LGBT individuals from across Cornwall, and we spoke a lot about isolation and representation and what it means to them, and their work really influenced this film, and there's some of their writing on the balloons that fall from the ceiling. So thank you, amazing people. Oh, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Paul. What was the inspiration for the art style? I guess the art style, the physical art in the space. I was thinking about lockdown, as we all have been for months, and I was thinking about if lockdown was heightened and we were living in this world that was kind of overly sanitized and segregated and lonely, how it would feel. And I was thinking about that brain space that I got into at the beginning of lockdown, thinking about white walls and plastic and washing, and so that's where the kind of visual language of the room came about. I wanted it to feel like his brain space, this man's brain space who hadn't left his house or his flat for months. So he kind of bounces around the room. There's nothing to do, and he's kind of going through this routine. So all of that kind of white plastic was because of that. And then the world of the city came out of adversity, because we're in the middle of the countryside in Cornwall, and we had no way of shooting a cityscape or tower blocks, and it felt really like a city story. I wanted it to have that urban feeling. So yeah, we built that little plastic city out of laundry baskets and Tupperware, and I went with my Sharpie for hours trying to draw the people in the windows and everything. So it was out of necessity, but also out of how I'm feeling and how I was feeling about lockdown and how I thought the character might feel. And the shadow is a kind of very heightened visual language. This guy who is completely non-realistic with the kind of full-on makeup and the different style of clothing, was me channeling who I if I could really do like a rough sketch of who I want it to be. I want to be this swanky person, and I was thinking about, well, I want to be in 80s suits with high-waisted trousers, and I want to have slicked hair. I've tried to grow it in lockdown and failed miserably, but I wanted to have that kind of sexiness to him, and then the kind of heightening of the face was about that thing of being kind of painted on smiles, but also there's this amazing video game called We Happy Few, which has really inspired our stage show as well, where the community take pills to keep happy, and they all have this slightly heightened, creepy face. And I really loved that, because you kind of trust it and you kind of don't. And obviously, as you see, we shouldn't trust it. And yeah, so hopefully that kind of helps the art style. And shooting was all down to John Crooks, director of photography, and Brett Harvey, incredible editor, who spent hours with me on Zoom editing it together, and their knowledge of film, because I just didn't have any. I had no knowledge of film, so down to them. We wanted it to be kind of brash and quick and strong and almost comic book like, but that all comes down to them. Emily, stunning, thank you. What was the inspiration for the choreography? A lot of it came from gesture, as seems to always with my choreography. All of the email writing, we had conversations out loud and we took the text away. So we get this kind of, hi, you, or right, oh no, it's like you're talking and being stopped and trying to find those words. So lots of that kind of intricate gesture of the typing was kind of being in the middle of a conversation and imagining saying it out loud. I'm trying to think. So the opening sequence in the room was very much me being locked in that garage for hours, playing with how it would feel to be really claustrophobic, but trying to find routine. And it starts at it's this character's birthday, and I was thinking about birthdays in lockdown and how crap they were. And this kind of like wanting to find something new and then delving back into all the old habits that we developed through lockdown. So that was kind of like lethargic, trying to find this routine. And then when we build into that big duet, that's all it was all about, those kind of characters, that dream duet where, so I have the solo where I'm imagining what it would be like to dance with him and to walk with him, and then he appears in my mind, and that is, you probably can't tell on the first view, but that duet is a relationship up to the point of someone proposing. So you get this kind of big it goes through them first meeting, their first kiss, them going out to the clubs, getting drunk, and falling out and having an argument. So, and we spoke all the way through that as well to try and find a real dialogue that could inspire the movement. So it was more through text actually, and then taking it away and thinking through gesture, thinking pedestrian action, and then heightening and bringing some drama to it. Oh, I just jumped back. Sorry, I'm just going back to find that question again. What an achievement. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Eckhart Drama. Thank you, Alan. Who wrote the music? Dom Coyote, who is an incredible composer, wrote the music. Dom has worked for Kneehigh for, I don't want to show you how long in case I got it wrong, but a very long time. And he has performed for them and been in the band and composed for them. And he's just incredible. You would have maybe last seen him in Ubu as the mayor. And he was also in the Tin Drum, if anyone saw that. So the brilliance of seeing someone from going from stage to composing. And some of those, so the main song with lyrics we wrote 3 years ago, I think Dom wrote 3 years ago, and the main kind of theme of the shadow when we're doing the emails is from about 3 years ago, but everything else was new and in response to what we filmed. So Dom got given the edit with some of the chunks of music kind of placed in, but he took it and made it into this magical thing. I think the heart of it is in the music. It kind of builds tension, it kind of scares you, and he just brilliantly on his own in a room made that whole epic piece, and he really carries the magic of it for me. Ellie's texting me. Ellie from Kneehigh's texting me the questions in case I get them wrong. I think I've got them all, Ellie, but I'll keep checking. Emma Bradley, brilliant. This is really powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew, so much for joining us. Kim, fabulous. As you said, very intense. Yeah, it is very intense. And I'm going to be really honest with you. It's more intense than I had intended for it to be. The stage show has so much joy in it. When the avatars or the shadows are created in the stage show, the company are on roller skates and it's kind of 80s disco. And there's like all this playful vocabulary. When they first send emails, there's this big paper airplane fight and these blow up emojis fall from the ceiling. So it has a very different kind of aesthetic and playful language on the stage. Not that it's fully made yet, but from our workshops. And there's a lot of text in the show as well, in the live show. Anna Maria Murphy, who you would know as the writer of The Red Shoes and Tristan and Isolde, and lots of other brilliant shows for Kneehigh and Radio 4. She and I together have written the script, and the text in the that you saw on screen today in the film is Anna's, and the lyrics. So it's very different. And hopefully there's more space for lightness. I really tried to find more lightness when we condensed it down, but when we condensed it down, it just goes and all the intensity kind of builds and comes together. Also, it's important to say that the story on stage has a bigger cast, and it's the protagonist and the love interest are both not male in our stage show, and that came about as me and my partner being the only people here. Thank goodness for Edwin being the most brilliant performer, and I've loved working with him. I'm sure you can agree that he's fantastic in the film, but that's completely, that change of gender and kind of style was out of necessity. Isn't the full version, would it have dialogue? Oh, yes, Paul. So I just touched on that there. But yeah, it does have dialogue. It has a kind of narrator figure that I will not talk about too much, because until you see the stage show, it won't, I don't want to ruin it. But it does have text. It's kind of this challenge that we've been working on over the last few years, is working with performers who feel comfortable with text but also comfortable with a really high level of physicality. And I was really lucky in our workshop periods. I got to work with amazing performers, but especially in our last workshops, I worked with Katie Lusby, Nandi Bebe and Ian Garside, who have all, Nandi would have seen in many Kneehigh shows, and Katie maybe for Gecko, Ian for DV8. And they've got this amazing vocabulary, being able to use their voice, but also their bodies in this kind of really beautiful, articulate way that works either side of each other. So thank goodness for them, because it's kind of meant that when we were crafting the stage show and building on it, it's not finished, but when we've been building on it, the language of having performers who do both things so beautifully has meant that we could really push where language could go. So sometimes there is no language, sometimes there's full naturalistic scenes, but yeah. So hopefully when the stage show gets out, you'll see how text is involved. Can you discuss the safety precautions? Of course, Jonathan. And while I discuss those safety precautions, I'm going to take a sip of my Prosecco. Sorry, parched. Of course. So, as I said, we filmed it in my mum's garage. We're in the middle of Cornwall. There is nothing around. There are a few houses dotted around, but it's on a farm, so it's really segregated, which is really brilliant for this. And the window sequence was my mum's bedroom window, and the running is the woodland just behind my house. So everything here is completely segregated and safe. Obviously, the only two performers were a couple, so we'd been together the whole of lockdown, so it was safe for us to be together. And once I was the only person who was in the space, apart from Edwin and myself, throughout the kind of creation of the set. And then when we started filming, John and Millie were, we built an extra section outside of the garage so they could have distance away from us performing. And we obviously committed to PPE, and everyone had like a kind of good safe distance. And we filmed it when lockdown had eased and you were allowed to be working again. So it was all done legally and properly, Scouts honour. But yeah, we just kept it really simple, minimal people, and the people that were here, we kept really safe, or we were living together anyway, so it was fine. Alan, did you have the musical score already whilst you were filming, or did the score come after the film? So I've touched on that briefly, but I'll just quickly again. Thank you for being here, everyone. I'm so moved. Months of being on my own with these thoughts. It's amazing. So we had the sections we had to create to were the window section, the emails, so both sections where there's text on screen, the shadow song where there's lyrics, where we have the big duet, and the fight. Actually, Dom wrote the fight in July, so when the room goes red and they have the shadow and the boy have this kind of conflict together, that we choreographed too. And I hope there's like a kind of mix of like some of it being really overly musical and some of it being music kind of interpreting the movement. So there's kind of a bit of a mix of that going on. But those biggest movement sequences we rehearsed and created to the music just outside this room in my garden here. But yes, that was Dom Coyote. Dom also has an amazing solo EP out at the moment, which is awesome, which you can find online. And also he has a duo band with Alex Lupo called Lupo Coyote or Coyote Lupo, who are on Spotify, and Dom's on Spotify as well. So look up his music because he's just bloody ace, and that's his voice as well. Oh my God, I really loved your choreography. Do you have a favourite movement section? Oh, thank you, Joni. Thank you, Jilly. Joni, my favourite movement section is probably the section where I have the boy has the solo of imagining sensation and touch, and then he comes round and he imagines shaking the man's hand and then he appears and we go into that duet. I think that duet's one of my favourite sections. Just because it's so rich in story. You could watch it 10 times and see different things. and it's just joyful and romantic, and it's just it. Yeah, it just was really lovely to do something romantic and happy within all of that darkness of that dark story. Ellie's just telling me what to do. I'm just going to read it 1 second. Awesome. We're going to wrap up in about 10 minutes. That's my 10-minute call. So any last questions, chuck them down now and I'll answer them quickly. But thank you for being here. Tom, the cityscape was beautiful. Thank you, Tom. I really wanted us to have had more shots. There's quite a lot that I wanted to bring back, and we filmed it in 3 days, so it was really quick filming, and we had beautiful shots, but we used them all in the opening, and I kind of wondered whether we should have brought them back, but we didn't have the shots. But thank you. I'm glad you like the cityscape. I do too. What's the name of the original story? The original story, Flora, is called The Shadow. Nice and simple. And he dies at the end. The shadow kills the man in the end in the original. So we gave you a bit of hope in this story. Very beautiful. Thank you, Ellie. Oh, thank you, Joni. I'm glad it's interesting to you. Thank you. Whose hair grew longer during the editing process? Brett is being a complete... I'm not sure I'm allowed to swear on YouTube Live. Brett, who edited the film and was basically film god throughout, and said whose hair grew longer, and it was his, because his is here and I haven't cut mine and I'm still giving you gentle boof. So well done, Brett. Good for you. What are your plans for the live show? We will see. We were hopefully going to be opening this summer in Cornwall and touring nationally next year. That's not happening now, but hopefully. We've been working on it for such a long time, and I really want to make that version, and I think audiences would really enjoy it. So hopefully, let's look to 2021. Let's look to theatres reopening. Let's look to looking back at this time as an odd time that we don't need to remember, and we can get back to theatres. I wonder why you called it the Neon Shadow. Very fair, Katie. So I was kind of obsessed with this feeling of, you would have seen in the film, there's all these kind of neon tubes that light up. And I was really obsessed with this thing of technology having this kind of fluorescence in a world where we're, lit up by screens, neon lights, and the kind of just that kind of glitch of technology. And I just wanted to give it an edge that was taking it from when it was written and pushing it 200 years into 2020. And I wanted it to feel like there was this kind of edge of something that is new and fresh that we don't completely understand yet. So that's where neon came from. And in the live show, there will be more neon. Matthew, I've now wandered into Hans Christian Andersen wormhole. I didn't know he was gay. Now reading that The Little Mermaid was also a story of unrequited love between him and a guy called Edward Collin. Matthew, you're correct. And you would have seen that the love interest in the film was called Edward, in honour of Edward Collin. The relationship in The Shadow is inspired by another one of his relationships, but I wanted to find a name, because you don't know the name of the main character, the boy, but it was so crucial we had a name for the love interest. So we called him, I kind of did some research, and I thought Edward is kind of lovely because it's unique and individual, but also also true to Hans, and a bit of kind of a nod to him. Pandora loved it. Thank you, Pandora. Laura, can't wait to see the whole show, and so lovely to hear your process. Thank you, Laura. Zoe, was the mystery imaginary man performed by the third person? No, the mystery imaginary man is both Edwin and myself in makeup. So that was the other thing. How do you achieve having a third character? And almost in a way, when we started making a film, I was like, oh, it'd be great if I could be that third character and fight with myself. But when you don't have a CGI budget from Hollywood, that's kind of impossible. So we worked out that Edwin and I could swap in and out of playing the Shadow. And that's kind of also where we went for that really bold look. So it really transformed both of us. And then Xander from Venn Creative worked on all of that animation and that visual effect. And I just love it because it looks like he's being drawn the whole time, which kind of ties in with the rest of the set. And was also Charlotte Bond, our producer from Kneehigh. When we first started talking about the film, she went, have you seen Aha? Can't talk. The music video for Take On Me by Aha. And I went, yes. And I went, I love that reference. So if you go back and watch that music video, the shadow in our film is very much inspired by their rotoscoping in that old music video, which is just gorgeous. You're very good at this. Oh, thanks, Becca. Well worth waiting for. Thank you, Michael. Charlie, can you tell us more about Creation Club? How long have you been working together? Yes. So the Creation Club came about when we were thinking about putting this film together, and I was in Cornwall with my partner, and having grown up here, really suddenly felt the weight of being. I live in Brighton normally, so I live in kind of a really metropolitan, urban, accepting, extraordinary city, and being back in Cornwall, I really felt that kind of weight of isolation a little bit, and going, wow, I literally wouldn't know where I could find my community in this county. And I do obviously have a few gay friends and LGBT friends who live in Cornwall, but it's very few. And I said to our producers, I said, wouldn't it be great if we could bring together some isolated LGBT adults from across Cornwall? So we put a call out, and we put together a group of people. It was around 20 people, and we did 3 workshops on Zoom where I shared some writing skills and some movement skills, and Anna shared some of her writing kind of start points. And then we discussed and we shared work and we shared our stories. And it just really was a beautiful kind of transition into making this film. And it wouldn't be the film it is without them, because I had them in mind the whole time. And I was thinking about their stories, and the aim now is that we make a space where we can all communicate still and share each other's work, because they're all brilliant creatives. Some of them had never been creative before. Some of them are professional theatre makers. And yeah, just an absolute joy to work with them. I'm just going to check that there's just finish off these last points to say goodbye, because that was a really good question. Kneehigh has often mixed live performance with film. I think this really ups the game. Oh, cool. Matthew, yeah, I agree. Our school has Rainbow Flag Award status, and I love that this can add to our exploration of LGBTQ plus role models. Oh, thank you. That's great. It's trying to be a love letter to being brave and true to who you are. So I'd love it. And if you ever want to talk to us about it, contact Kneehigh, and I'm sure we can talk a bit more. Such fascinating Q&A. Yay! Emily McGugan, hello, my darling. Where do you find your creativity and inspiration from? I'm quickly going to just say music, drag, colour, my community, my homeland, Netflix, film, Michaela Cole, Punch Drunk. There you go, loads of things. Kneehigh. Thank you. Kim Jones, where are you doing the stage production when you can? There are not dates yet, Kim, but I will let you know. Keep a lookout. I'm sure Kneehigh will share them. Larissa, is there anything you discovered through making it as a film which you can now use, let influence for live? Completely, Larissa, yeah. There's a lot of detail and intricacy to movement language and potentially set design, and also intricacies of characters and how the stories might develop in the stage show in a slightly different way that I'll take away. I'm going to wrap up now, guys, because I'm being told this is a lovely place to finish up. Eleanor, thank you. First time I've ever seen Kneehigh, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Rachel. It's also very different to a lot of Kneehigh's work, so keep an eye out and see more of their work for sure. Would you be up for having a chat to 100 drama teachers? Oh, Sharon, get in contact with Kneehigh, and I'm sure we would love to do that. Tom, thank you. Right, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say cheers to everyone that joined tonight. Thank you for being part of the premiere of this film. It's just been such a treat after 4 years to actually bring that story to an audience. And thank you to everyone who's worked on it. Kneehigh, New Adventures, Hall for Cornwall, Feast and Pavilion Dance Southwest. Thank you to all of my brilliant mentors who have helped with it. Thank you to producer Gabby, producer Charlotte, and the rest, Ellie, Chloe, the rest of the team at Kneehigh. I'm going to thank everyone now. Shit, it's like it's like an awards ceremony. Thank you to Edwin, who is my love and my brilliant partner in crime in the film. Millie, John, Brett, Xander, Dom, Nandi, Katie, Ian, my mum who let us film in her garage, everyone else. Enough of that. Thank you. Thank you. Clap, clap, clap. Right, I'm going to say goodbye and I'm going to drink my Prosecco, but I don't want it to end. Thank you, Anthony. Okay, have a lovely evening, guys. Please tell your friends before we wrap up. Please tell your friends. Share. It will now be live on YouTube forever, so share the link if you think people would like to see it. And I look forward to seeing you all in a theatre very soon. Take care. Cheers.